right, cool. Let's get into it. So, um, thank you, Andy, and thank you, Patrick, for doing this video this Saturday morning. Um, I think Patrick, you're in Texas, right? So it might be a little bit later in the day.
It's afternoon here, so
Okay, cool. And Andy, I think you're still here in California, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, great. So you're on the same time with me. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. Feels a little bit later, but so so yeah, just basically, I guess, how have you guys been?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. What did we do? Oh, Patrick just went out to a Lightning Hack Day maybe a couple weeks ago. So that was pretty cool.
Cool. And how did you? So what were you guys doing out there?
yeah, it was kind of neat. It was in New York. There's probably like 100, 150 Lightning Network developers on top, developers on top of Bitcoin. Everybody kind of got together for 2 days. There was a lot of talks on some of the technology people are working on, just kind of explaining things at kind of the protocol level. A lot of learning, a lot of sharing. It was a hackathon built into it too, but there's a lot of hardware guys. It wasn't really a lot, a JavaScript hackathon or anything like that.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. You guys are focused on some JavaScript, but then there's other things that are relative to
Yeah,
business. Okay.
yeah. I'm mostly JavaScript. The people that were in New York, though, there was a lot of people who brought like Arduinos and Raspberry Pis, and one guy he brought an emulator for Pac-Man that you could
Oh, that's cool.
you could buy tokens, and it was pretty cool. So
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. What I wanted to gather you guys here for today was, just to kind of, since you guys are kind of like the experts at, crypto, and you kind of know like more than obviously the, average person out there, like about the scene. Maybe you guys can just kind of talk to me about some of the excitement around crypto and like, I mean, like last year it was kind of a big thing and people were making money like all left over hand over fist, and then the fever kind of died down. Why do you think people are starting to get back into it today?
Yeah, I would say, last year Bitcoin hit about like 20,000. It kind of peaked around there. And then a lot of that, I personally feel like was just due to like FOMO, a lot of hype. They saw Bitcoin do a run up to like 15K, and then people were like, oh, shoot, like I got to get in on this now.
Right, that fear of missing out, yeah.
Yeah. And so naturally, if there's like such a high pump or steep increase in price, there's going to be a pullback. And so actually, yeah, it's fairly I would say reasonable to expect Bitcoin to come back down to 6,000, because before the huge run up, it was actually at 1,000. And so yeah, and I would say yeah, there has been a lot of people who aren't as interested anymore because the price isn't so high. And but I think it's a great time for building because there aren't as much noise. There aren't as all the like scammers kind of go home, and like the people who are like real serious about building infrastructure, building applications and tooling, they stay. They stay during the bear market and they build. And so I think this is an ideal time for us, for Patrick and I, just to go out and reach out to developers and yeah, just show them how they can build an application on top of Bitcoin and Litecoin.
yeah, and it's really interesting because last year as the price was going up, even me personally, you're a developer, you have a tab open, you see the price, and you're watching this thing go up, and you're like, oh man, I made the best decision of my life now.
Yeah.
But it's a big distraction when the price is going up and the price is going down. But volatility is going to happen, and the underlying technology hasn't changed. It's just what people are willing to pay for that thing, and so like that's why I'm still excited about it, is because nothing about the technology has changed in the last year. Just that people have paid more, paid less for it.
Right, right. Like, why do you think people find crypto fascinating in the first place? Like, why do you think people are like into it nowadays?
Yeah, I think because it's new. It offers a different perspective, a different world, basically, to what people are normally accustomed to. I know for me specifically, when it comes to Bitcoin and Litecoin, to me, it's more about like censorship-resistant money.
Hmm.
It's about having an asset or owning an asset that I feel pretty confident will appreciate in value over time because of its set supply. You know exactly how much is going to be printed. Nobody can print more than that.
Right.
Um, and it's yeah, and then so that's what gets me excited about like Bitcoin and Litecoin. And then but then I know there is a whole other ecosystem within the cryptocurrency space that are focused on like smart contract platforms, right? And so that would be like Ethereum or maybe even Definity or something like that. And so those people are really excited about using smart contract capabilities to build dApps. And so that's why they're getting really excited about that. And then I would say like the third area in this space would be something called permission blockchains, where you actually create a whole separate private blockchain network that serves a specific purpose that serves just like a specific enterprise. And so, I would say those would be like the three areas that people are kind of interested in right now.
Yeah. Patrick, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think as a developer, I've spent so much time like building ERP systems and MRP systems that like the whole goal in the end is just to create an invoice and hope that it gets paid, right?
Yeah.
But with cryptocurrency, what's different, like what really was the trigger for me, like the aha moment, was the first time that I did something, and then I created an invoice and was paid immediately from someone in another country.
Right.
This isn't like a spec. This isn't me like making this up. This actually happened, right? So I think one of the things was the first time that I went to actually ask for money through an application and was paid instantly was really the aha moment for me. We spend so much time with like ERP systems and MRP systems and creating invoices and hoping they get paid. But with cryptocurrency, you can actually move that value immediately. And so it's you don't have to worry about these 2-week waits and SWIFT payments and all this other stuff. It happens and you move on with your life. And it's really invigorating, I guess.
Yeah, so it's that it's that ability to be paid fast. I think that's kind of like the real allure for kind of people coming back into this, I think.
And there's also the concept of payment finality, right? There's no risk of like chargebacks. And so like Patrick doesn't have to worry about like the company who's paying him saying, "Oh, just kidding, like we actually didn't like this is false, fraud or whatever." Like he has the money and he can just move on. He can have peace of mind.
Right. When you came to our meetup in LA, like you were talking a lot about like, the problems with modern money. So actually, would you be willing to kind of, go through that thought process again with us here?
Yeah, I guess one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of Bitcoin and Litecoin is because, it has a limited supply. Nobody can censor it. So that means that when you send Litecoin or Bitcoin to an address, nobody can tell you not to use that money, right? Nobody can shut down your bank account. Nobody can, possess control over your wallet involuntarily unless you get hacked. But, like currently in our banking system, it's, you need a minimum account balance for your bank account, right?
Right.
And like when you go to people think that like I've talked to a lot of people my age who are millennials, and then they just keep money sitting in their savings account, and they think that they're actually like accruing wealth because there's like a 0.01 or 0.02% interest on that savings account. But if you look at like the trend over inflation, it's about like 2 to 3% on average per year, right? And so their purchasing power is actually decreasing. And the reason for that is, it's because of the inflationary policies that the U.S. government has. You have no idea how much the federal budget is going to be per year, right? And so you're just kind of trusting like the president, you're trusting the U.S. government to protect the value of the U.S. dollars. And for the most part, they do a good job, right? But sometimes they don't, right? We saw that we saw stuff get out of hand in 2008. And then, in extreme scenarios, you see people out in like Venezuela and their governments are just completely, they're just printing money so that they can for themselves, right? Maduro is doing that,
it's a big mess.
And so just there's something about integrating like the state and monetary policies, like where maybe it would be better if they're separate, right? Maybe it would be better if currency itself was its own world, its own network, its own system, and something that not so much like we trust others or that we trust a government necessarily to control or to facilitate, but rather it's something that we can have accountability before and have it distributed across the whole network, across the whole Bitcoin network, across the whole Litecoin network.
Yeah. Actually, before I ask my next question, like Patrick, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's really interesting, but you don't really think about this, but the banks they basically have full control over all of your assets, right? And if you've ever tried to gamble online, or if you ever tried to do things that
Yeah.
are a little bit of oh, well, you shouldn't go spend your money there. Your bank can actually stop you from where you can spend your money, and it's really once that happens to you the first time, you realize like, oh, I have no control over all this money that I have, even though I think I have it. And you look it up, and really you don't have that money. The bank has that money, and they can give it back to you if they want, and that's not a good feeling of I mean, it's like that with anything, right? Anything that you accrue has value. If you don't have possession of it, you no longer have that thing, right? The king would in olden times would often go out and tax all the individuals, take all of their money, and then now the king is wealthy again, and the individuals are poor.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I feel like our modern banking system has turned into. The
Makes
rich
sense.
have the ability to continue to get richer and make it harder for people like you and I to attain that wealth.
Right, right. Yeah, that's such an interesting thing that you're saying. Both of you, I think there's a lot of issues with modern money right now, and so like that's like kind of the big driver for like the crypto, scene. Like it's the big driver for anybody to kind of come back into this. I think just more so than trying to make a quick buck. I think it's like the protection of your value of your money. Because you're right. In a government-based economy, where whether it's democratic or autocratic or whatever have you, you're kind of at the mercy of your government, like with the money. They can tax you and they can apply all kinds of like monetary policies that kind of throw like the value of your, your money. And on the flip side, like right, you can put your money in crypto, but do you guys think that your money can lose all of its value in crypto? Because we've seen that like this past few years. Like, do you feel like there's going to be more fluctuations over the next few years? Because I think that's like the immediate thing that people are afraid about. Like, okay, well, yeah, you make interesting points about value of money, but like, what if my money like is worth nothing tomorrow? So
Yeah, I would always say like never invest more than you can afford to lose. Like when it comes to cryptocurrency, you're right. It's very volatile, but and especially if you try to get involved in like a lot of the altcoins, like the new coins that come out, a lot of ICOs. They're just trying to make a quick buck. Make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure they have a product. Make sure you read the white paper. Make sure you verify the team that everything's legit, that they're a registered company, and all that stuff. With like Litecoin and Bitcoin, yes, it is volatile, but because it is like a deflationary asset, I think in the long term, over a long period of time, the overall trend is going to go up. And so even though people did like lose money at 20K, I just whoever bought in at 20, I keep telling them just hold it, because in the long run, maybe in like a year or 2 years or 3 years, who knows, like you'll make your money back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I always encourage people, especially if you're getting into crypto and you're looking at it as an investment vehicle, to definitely set some policies of your own up front. Decide what kind of mix you want to be at, and if you get out of that mix, rebalance, right? So if you buy a little bit too much Bitcoin, or Bitcoin goes up in value, sell a little bit of Bitcoin. Keep it where you're comfortable. I think that's a smart decision to make. I think. The funny thing is with trading is, like we all know, there's always a winner and a loser. There's no in between, right? Somebody makes money, somebody loses money. The people that make money don't go out and go, oh my gosh, look how much money I made. It's the people that lose money going, oh my God, stay away from this thing. I lost everything, right?
Right.
Well, you just sold your house and put all your money into, a speculatory asset. So of course, like those kind of people are going to be the ones that are going to be the most vocal.
Right.
But I think as long as you take, a smart approach, stay diversified, do your own research. I think it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's one more thought too. Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
A lot of people think, oh, if I buy in, I have to buy in all right now, and it's not really the case. I actually recommend the opposite. Buy slowly, and it's called coin average or dollar. What is it, Andrew? Dollar coin averaging.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Dollar coin averaging.
It's dollar coin averaging, and so you just buy small amounts. you don't worry about the volatility as much. You're like, oh, I want to get up to one whole Bitcoin. We'll buy 0.1 Bitcoin every 2 weeks. Doesn't matter what the price is.
Yeah.
You're going to get to one Bitcoin. You're going to get to your goal, and then you're not going to worry as much about, oh no, I bought this and it went down $100, or I bought it and it went up $100.
Yeah. So from your perspective, and this is probably where the opportunity is for like the developer, you know, it probably makes more sense, like, you know, as a developer to be earning Bitcoins.
Absolutely, that's a great point. So
yeah.
A lot of people have the problem of, oh, I've earned money, I've made this money, now I'm going to put it into a slot machine. That's what it feels like, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to go to Vegas and see if I can put it all in black. Hopefully Bitcoin goes up.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. If you can earn your money that way, there's so many benefits. Instant payments. So say I'm personally a small business owner for many years, right? Payments is always the worst part of doing business. You have to invoice, you have to be nice, you have to be cordial. They're not paying you, right? You should get paid for your work. And if you can accept that in cryptocurrency, there's no excuse for anyone not to pay you right now, right? Hey, I've finished your work up. Here, I'm delivering it. They can't go, oh, let me put a check in the mail, right? There's no problem here.
Yeah.
You pay me for my work. And I think that part of the satisfaction of working for cryptocurrency is really good. And on top of that, now you can go settle that for USD, and you can have money in your account. And it's cheaper and faster than PayPal. As long as you know who you're dealing with, like Coinbase knows who you are as a customer, then you can move that money really quickly with less fees. So earning is a great way to do it if you can do that. And in fact, whenever I have a family member or a friend or something who I want to pay for something, oftentimes I'll just go ahead and pay it in Litecoin or Bitcoin, so they have that first experience of earning that, and then they don't feel like they're losing money or gaining money if it goes up or down.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I would encourage, for me, like I do like contract work, I like write articles, and I do some consulting on the side, and then so they will pay me in cryptocurrency, and I think it's a nice way where like it's not part of my main income, but it's like supplemental income. And then so I would say if you're a developer and you want to make like some supplemental income, like build like a small app or a project or something that generates a little bit of Bitcoin income on the side, and that you just leave on your website. And then who knows what that price of Bitcoin will be next year, right? And so I feel like it's low cost and potentially better reward.
Very cool. So actually, this is a good way for us to kind of like segue. You guys are thinking about doing a workshop eventually, and like teaching people like the skills that they need to do the crypto development. Obviously that workshop hasn't launched just yet, but like if you were to do something like that, like what would be like the primary things that you'd want to teach at that class? Or like how would you help people who want to like get started in this kind of space? Like, what would you offer to them?
Yeah, good question. I'm going to go first in this one. I've been to several workshops, and one of the biggest problems is in the beginning, everyone's like trying to figure out how to get their machine set up. And then there's always that one person who just never gets it, and it ruins the time for everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? That's what, like, if you took that times 100, that's what it's like to try to get into cryptocurrency development. So first you have to decide, out of the thousands of coins that are available, which ones should I trust to build on top of, right? And people are going to be catering more to developers in the Ethereum side or these other altcoins because they want to increase their value by like enticing developers. But in reality, they're not like the right choice to make because they're not secure, basically. Not saying all coins, but a lot of the altcoins are. So what we would want to teach is, hey, this is a user transaction-based currency system, Bitcoin or Litecoin. This is very secure. This is why. Not going in real deep into it, but explaining like this is why you should make this choice. And then immediately what we want to do is be able to have them to develop features to understand how the system works.
Right.
So typically what you have to do right now, if you want to get into like just say Bitcoin development, right? You have to first understand what is Bitcoin. How does it work? You can't just understand like a little bit of Bitcoin, like, oh, it's money moving here and there. You have to understand transactions. There's so much to understand and read, right? Then you have to, like, then after you've already decided on the coin to use, then you have to decide on the tooling, and everyone has different tooling that's available. It's like, and it's not even to the level of like React versus Vue versus whatever else.
Right.
This is like a much smaller, much higher like number of tooling, and there's no one out there in the community to tell you like, oh, Vue is good if you want to build a small single component. React is good for larger apps, things like that.
Right.
There's just no one to tell you. So we want to be that voice and put reason behind the choices that we're making, and then help developers go from basically nothing to being able to add features and do it quickly. Because being able to, you know, that's where we add value as a developer, not in how many unit tests we can write or, you know, how much Scrum meetings or whatever we go to.
Exactly.
How much value can we add? And that's what we want to focus on.
Right. The exciting parts, not like the boring parts. Yeah. Okay. Andy, you have anything to add to that? I mean,
no, I think Patrick covered it really well. Yeah, okay. That's what we hope to achieve.
Okay.
And and when you take the class, I think you'll be able to build something. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys. I definitely want to help you guys get the word out, and even as somebody interested in that space, maybe I'll like take one of the classes too. Who knows? If I have the time.
Okay.
Cool. Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right, thanks a lot. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, bye.